Live from Michigan City, Indiana, it's a Long Arm TV Live with Jamie Wallen.
Hello everybody and welcome to Quilters Apothecary. Today is actually a fun day. We actually have been doing some pretty heavy tutorials, and so I thought today I think I just want to relax a little bit and just kind of do some impromptu quilting. And but still I want to be able to show you some things. So what I do want to do is to we haven't done it in a while, and that is a lot of times early on when I was quilting on some custom quilts, what I used to do is I would tuck designs behind each other so it looked kind of 3D. So I'm going to do a little bit of that today, and then we'll pick back up over the next few weeks with some heavier stuff. Because I've got some really wonderful custom quilts coming. And what we're thinking is probably through the beginning, middle of June, we would be running through. Rich had thought we would do like a 12 episode first season, but I think we're going to go until about the beginning to middle of June. He's giving me the look right now. I can see it out of the corner of my eye, but I'm ignoring him. So we've got about 3 or 4 more episodes, and then we'll just go back to our regular tutorials. And hopefully things at that point will start getting back to normal for everybody. It's been a pleasure sharing our Saturday afternoons with you all. We appreciate that. And we appreciate having you all here. Um, the other thing that I would add, and I don't know how appropriate or inappropriate this is, but the one thing that I'd like you to think about at this time, as you can, is once the ball gets rolling and everybody starts getting back to work and stuff starts flowing again, the one thing that I want us to remember and try to do is let's support some of our local quilt shops as we can, and also those that are online. And I don't just mean us, I mean everybody. If you have a favorite quilter or a person that you like buying their tools, we have the Pineapple Quilter Linda Hershka, we've got Kim Bruner, obviously we have us, we have a lot of wonderful Lisa Calais, we have a lot of wonderful people out there, Deloa Jones, who probably need some support. I know that for myself, I kind of feel that we've been talking a lot about it and we're a little bit nervous and a little heartbroken about it. I think that once the things get back on track, when people get back to shows, I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be there that didn't survive what's been going on financially. So again, if we want to think about that, and that being said, you also have to take care of yourselves. And sometimes it is about looking in your tool bin and saying, I'm good for now, which is hard. Um, but again, the whole goal is taking care of each other, and we have to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of each other. So let's kind of keep those things in mind as we hopefully come out the other side with caution. Um, so anyways, back to today. So today is kind of going to be some impromptu. I'm working on this piece that's going to be a giveaway that we talked about in one of the earlier videos. And Rich, do you have the details on that? We'll have the details posted. Yeah, we've been putting them in our emails for the newsletter, but we will post them online. Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, what it is anybody that has ordered anything off our website from, I think it was mid April, early April, uh, through June 1st, or anybody that's subscribed to the new Quilters Apothecary channel, we'll have a drawing right after June 1st, and we'll pick somebody to win a quilt, one of Jamie's art pieces that he's doing here for the YouTube subscriptions, and one for anybody that ordered anything off of our website.
So 2 total.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds good. So surprises are always good. So now let's go ahead. Let's come down to the quilt. Again, we're back on the piece where we did the dragonflies, and I've also shown the border. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a square design, and I want to kind of tuck that square design behind the two dragonflies. I don't want it to be straight because that would look a little oddball. I'm going to kind of off kilter it just a little bit, just to kind of throw the look off, but I don't want the straight line to follow the straight line of the dragonfly body. So maybe a little bit more that way. I kind of like that look. I don't want it to be too even up here. So maybe I'll come down just a little bit like that. And what I'm going to do with this square is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chalk the inside. And I am going to chalk the outside. And I am using our Bowen chalk. Now I'm going right over the dragonflies. First of all, I'm not going to quilt over that part, but I am going to go ahead and chalk it because I need a reference um, on that. Now, one of the things that I want to share is this. So we've got the square that is chalked there. This could have been a feathered heart, and what I could have done is I could have chalked a feathered heart, and I would have chalked the petals that would be underlapping so that I know whereabouts they'd go. And this is going to make a little bit more sense as we do this particular design. So let me take this back. I think I'm going to do some curved crosshatch in there. So I'm going to go ahead, give myself some registration lines right there in the center. And I'm going to chalk the center for that curved crosshatch right through there. And I might do a little bit of a special curved crosshatch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ditch this. Now as I ditch this, I'm going to lock my stitches here. Yeah, I'll lock them here. I'm going to lock my stitches here. I'm going to come down. Why did I say that? The reason that I said that is this. If I lock my stitches here, for most of you at home, I don't have to worry about that a whole lot, but for most of you, some of your machines have trouble going up at this angle. So if I locked my stitches here, when I come up here, come down here, lock, and then drag, drop, lock, come down, I'm going to have that long way to go. If you're having any issues on your machine or your timing's a little off, then you would start here and come down this way. That way there's going to be less of that angle that starts from the lower right and heads up to the upper left. So just kind of an FYI for most of you. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to ditch this, and then I'm going to ditch the outer part, and we're going to show you how I tuck and do some dragging threads just to kind of give it that 3D effect. Now, the thread that I'm using now, I am not going to use a gold metallic because I want it to be a little bit different. So I am using this one beautiful, I used to love this beautiful green metallic. I still love it. I just haven't used it in forever. But here's the thing. It's old. So I pulled it off my shelf and it's YLI fine metallic. It's not their heavy duty metallic and it's this beautiful kind of neon green, light neon green. And so we're going to be using that. I have Isocord 40 weight smooth in my bobbin case and I have not tested this thread. So I might end up switching back to the gold metallic. We'll see how this goes. All right, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to lock my stitches. Mr. Ritchie, is it possible for you to get in on that camera right there? Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, yay. Okay, so we're going to go there, and I'm going to come down. Now remember, I want a thicker line. Now, by the way, the other thing that I didn't share with you is my original dragonflies. What I did, I didn't want to go right to the edge of the dragonfly, so I echoed around and thickened that line a little bit just to kind of give it a little negative space here so that way it's going to make the next design tucked under pop out. And that's something you're going to want to keep in mind and maybe do is to kind of do an echo and then do your tuck under there. That's going to show just a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I am on, let me see, where are my settings? I am on 400 cruise mode. I am, of course, on the Handy Quilter. Again, I am not a machine snob. That's just one of the machines that I love and use among many. Okay, so I'm going to go down here. All right, so now We're going to start. I'm going to thicken that line, and where I'm going is right to the edge of that gold metallic. Come down, back. I'm going to take my time just to start off with, and I broke thread, so let me rethread. Thought I might run into that. Now, again, this is I would say this spool of thread is probably 12 years old, so I might have a few breaks. So I'm going to slow down a little bit, and we still are probably going to be fine. The one thing to remember is this: you're a quilter. You're going to break thread. It's going to happen. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get through this design with this older spool of thread. And of course, I'm on camera, so we'll see how I do at threading this. No, I'm fine. Pull that down. Back off my tension just a hair bit. Now, we're going to have a special tutorial on using specialty threads down the road here, probably within the next few weeks. Let me get my glasses. And so what I might do if I have a more fragile thread like this is loosen my bobbin tension just a little bit. That way it's not, I don't have to have my top tension so heavy. Okay, so I'm threaded. I'm right on the line. Let's pull away, come back, grab that, relock my stitches. Okay, get rid of my tail. I can't stand working with that tail there. Okay, take off my glasses. I'm right in between. I don't know, I haven't gone to the eye doctor, and it's like I'm using all the cheater glasses. Come down, stop, turn, and sometimes it works and sometimes they don't. 1, 2. Now I'm going to take my time just because I'm dealing with a little bit more of a fragile spool of thread. Over. Now, instead of, if I were using the gold thread here, instead of ditching around that gold, I don't want to do that. What I want to do now is go ahead. I'm going to lock my stitches. I do about 6 stitches within the space of 2 stitches back and forth, and that's going to lock my stitches. I'm going to pull that up, loosen. I'm going to drag. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull a little bit further away, come back, reach around. We got our handle up out of the way so you can see. Pull up my bobbin thread, grab a hold of my bobbin thread, come back. I'm going to relock. And so those little drags are how I'm going to work my way around here to make it look like that's tucked under. Up, back, up, back, up. Okay, so now I'm going to needle up, come away, over, grab a hold of my top thread. Now I didn't stretch further than I'm going to stitch here, so I'm going to hold my top thread and I'm just going to go ahead and lock it. Now if I would have stretched my hopping foot further and then come back, I'd want to pull up that bobbin thread, but because I went right to where I'm going, that bobbin thread should be nice and taut under there. Up, down, up, down. Again, I'm just making that line a little bit more bold. I'm going to come over here, do the same thing. Now, because I am doing this specialty design, I did put a little bit of our adhesive on the bottom of my Ditcher 1. And what I used was the 620 adhesive spray. You could have used the what's called handy grip. Handy grip. There's a lot of options. Now, I can put a little bit right in here. Rich, can you tighten in there with the other camera? This one. So right here, you can kind of see, I'm going to go ahead and put that line in there. It belongs there. And I could get away with leaving it out, but you know, there's always going to be that person who has that perfect eye. And a few of you are probably watching right now. I know one of you is. No names. And you would catch that. You know, there are people that just have that eye. They can see it. I'm not talking about quilt police pesky. I'm just talking about a lot of people have that type of vision that they will spot something a mile away. And that's not their fault. It's just how it is. Okay, so now we're going to needle up again, pull down. Now I'm going to come here, and now I'm going to do my outer square. So I'm going to come over. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my bobbin thread. Okay. Now remember, I'm just going to the gold. Again, now if I were using gold thread, I would simply ditch around and come back to where I need to be. But because I'm using a different colored thread, and I'm trying not to get too eager and go fast with this older spool of metallic thread. And again, this is a gorgeous YLI. As I said that, it broke again. The fresh spools, the less than 15-year-old spools, typically you don't run into this trouble, and that's not too bad. It's doing pretty good. I could be being a little bit herky-jerky today as well. I can actually tell I'm a little off today. It's camping time, you know. I've been itching. I've been telling Rich we are going to be camping. We've been on the road for so much the last few years. We haven't done a lot of camping. And I love to camp and I love to take the dogs. And Iris has not been on any camping trips. Has Iris been on a camping trip with us yet?
No, she hasn't. I'm
No.
surprised you didn't find some way to blame me for being off.
No, you've been pretty good today. I was surprised. Normally at my weakest is when you go at me. All right, so now come up here. Up, back, forth, back, forth. Not so jerky. Yeah, I can tell I'm a little jerky. Back, forth, just slow down a little bit. I'm getting a little eager. Okay, so now I'm good here. So now I'm going to slide all the way up to here. So my movie was released today. I've been, if most of you that know me, is it today? Yesterday. Yesterday. I'm a big Scooby Doo fan, obviously. Anything Scooby Doo I just love. So the new Scoob movie is out, except you can't go to the theater to see it. And I'm a little too cheap to pay the 25 bucks to watch it and own it. I'll wait until it's a little cheaper. Okay, so I'm going to finish stitching this. So here's the other new addiction. So I have another new addiction. I should say re-addiction. So I am hooked now on adult coloring books. And I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video. And I've gone crazy on the adult coloring books. Adult coloring, yeah, it's not naughty. I mean, by adult coloring books, I mean they're not like children silly things. They're really cool, realistic flowers and people portraiture. You know, I love doing portraiture with colored pencil. So I just got hooked on the um, not children the more serious coloring books. And actually, on my channel, on the Jamie Wallen channel, most of this stuff is now on the Quilters Apothecary if it has to do with quilting. And we're still going to have some quilting stuff on the Jamie Wallen channel. But I've decided that on the Jamie Wallen channel, I'm going to be doing more art stuff, including some more art quilting. But there's also going to be some other stuff. And I'm going to be doing some colored pencil portraiture tutorials, as well as some cooking tutorials, because I've just joined a group that share recipes. And of course, a lot of you know I went vegan. And my friend Patrick is not. And we've decided that we're going to do some recipes up in his awesome kitchen that's going to be vegan as well as non-vegan versions, because I gotta tell you, he makes an amazing Caesar salad. It's the best Caesar salad I have ever had in my whole life. And some of you that have been here and have been lucky enough to be here when Patrick has made it for us know exactly what I'm talking about. He cuddles the egg, and I'm going to show some substitutions for stuff like that, but it'll be the two of us doing. So there's going to be some fun stuff coming up on there. Okay, so now I've got my square done, and next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do some curved crosshatch in this square. So let me see, and I think I'm going to do a kind of a fancy curved crosshatch, so I'm going to start on this side first. I'm going to use my double X large Mr. Curve 2. So I'm going to have a lighter curve, so whosever curves you tend to use, just know that you would want something with a little bit more of a lighter curve. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch for this particular one. So now I'm going to drag over again. Again, there's going to be a lot of dragging in this particular thing because I'm using the double colored thread. Okay. Now, because I'm doing actually a 1/4 of an inch, can we switch to this camera? I think that's a better visual. So because we're doing a 1/4 of an inch, what I'm doing is I'm taking this, and most of you know, you've seen the tutorials. If not, check out my tutorials on the curved crosshatch. I'm keeping the middle, and I'm going to go right across this line. But for the first one, since it's 1/4 of an inch, I don't go a 1/4 of an inch into the block. I take this and I go, now you can switch right to the other camera if you could. I'm going to go right to the edge of that block. That way, that's going to give me the first 1/4 inch into the block, because a lot of people will make a mistake, and what they'll do is they'll go a 1/4 inch in for the first one, not taking into account their 1/4 inch hopping foot, and they end up with their first one being a 1/2 of an inch, and they typically don't catch it until somebody else catches it. So now I'm going to move my curve, and I've got adhesive on there so it doesn't slide. Okay, so now I'm going to do my second one. And I'm only going as far as the dragonfly wings. Yep, did it again. I am. I am rushing. Janice Ian. Yes. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. Yeah, she does some, if it's the one I'm thinking of, she does some amazing stuff. There's just so many really good, Carlson does some really nice stuff. I mean, if you just look up coloring books on Amazon, if you do Amazon, there's just some amazing ones. And again, I like to do my own portraiture, and actually, I am in the midst of working on 2 coloring books that we're producing ourselves, um, with some different really cool shadowing and quilt designs. Okay, so now I'm locked on. Gonna come down and back. And of course, now I got turned on to Etsy. You know, I've never done Etsy before. And when I was in California, my friend Chrissy kind of introduced me to Etsy. But I'm not supposed to say that in front of Rich because now Rich will be mad at her. And I made the mistake to have all of our, now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is 3 curves coming in this way, this way, this way, and then this way. And then we're going to switch and we're going to do some other curves going the opposite way, following the X format. What I do though is just to kind of cover my own butt, I do the, you know how you get notifications from your bank? And my mistake was, because I don't use my phone a lot, was I I also have them hit Rich's email, right? So he gets a notification every time I buy something. And then I have to go through the whole, you know, what are you buying? What are you buying now? How come you're buying? Didn't you just buy 3 coloring books? So I think I might have to fix that. We might have to get Rich off of there. Because that, you know, ladies, you know how that stuff goes. It's like, stop it. It keeps me sane and it keeps you above ground because I'd kill you if I didn't have my coloring books. Forward. Not in a bad way, I'd kill him in a nice way. Back, forward, back. There we go again. But I'm going to keep using that. Now I will switch to gold when we go into our next level. So it's just a matter of being patient. Again, this thread is gorgeous and it's an old spool. And that's why I am using it. And I didn't want to put gold behind there and have just one color. I want the designs to have different colors. I'll probably do some red metallic on another part of the tuck under design. Live. This is what happens when you do things live.
You know, instead of buying coloring books, you'd have thought he'd have bought some new gold metallic or green metallic thread.
Green metallic. You could be right. But you could be wrong. You know, I 24 hours, 7 days a week is my life with quilting and other things. I have other things going on as well, but I got to tell you, it's nice to have some other things on the periphery. You know, camping's great. I tried to also, I got hooked on cross stitch again. Um, you know, the really cool photorealistic type cross stitch stuff. Um, so right now I'm into coloring. I'm going into my second childhood. Oh my gosh. Or is it my sixth? I've had a few of them, I think. And my friend Linda Hirschka when we talk about every day or at least every other day. Lately, the first question is, how much have you spent on coloring books? And actually, I have not spent a lot. Okay, so we did 4, so this is 3 on this side. So the one thing that I would add is it's very easy to forget that you bought these machines for a reason, and those reasons, one of them was to have fun, And we tend to keep loading customer quilt after customer quilt after customer quilt after customer quilt. And you know, some days you just got to load some fabric on and you just got to play and have fun. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be one of your own quilts. Just some nice, colorful, plainish fabric where you can just play and do some exploring. It just totally reinvigorates your creative edge. It's just good for your soul. It really is. Okay, so now I am going to complete this all the way around, but I'm going to pause for a second. And what I'm going to do now, because you don't need to see me go through all four of those, is I'm going to, Mr. Ritchie, there should be a spool of gold metallic. It's over there. And if you could do the tie off.
They also want to know what batting you're using.
This particular piece is double batted. This is 80/20 and poly down. So I'm using Hobbs, which is um, what I tend to use most of the time. And the snippers right there. Okay, pardon me. Oh yeah, that is pretty. See that? Woo! That is pretty. It's worth it. Well worth it. And again, I'm going to do the other two sides after the live broadcast, but I want to show you the next step that I'm going to do in here first. And then I can do that off camera. I'm going to pull this through, pull it through, pull it through. Now, I just pulled my thread through, which a lot of people um, don't do. And Rich, could you go ahead and zoom out just a smidge when you get back to your seat? Okay. Just zoom out, or this one over here. I'm sorry, the one. Is it this one? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the one thing that I would add is my thread is pulling really loose right now, and I'll tell you what, I pulled through. You always want to make sure, go out, keep going, keep going, keep going. You want to make sure um, that you double check, yeah, you double check through your tensioner on this side, and I don't think we can get up high enough because of the angle. But your tensioner, once you pull it through, you always make sure here that your thread is through there. Because what will happen sometimes when you pull it through is when it pulls through the knot, it'll pop outside of the tensioner and you won't notice that, and you will have to rip out the whole next bobbin's worth of thread. So you always want to re-tighten that. Okay, so now we'll thread that. So what is everybody working on? Is everybody doing customer quilts? Are you working on your own stuff? Are you avoiding your machine right now? It's kind of nice weather, so I know people might be thinking a little bit about gardens. So I've been looking at our yard saying, my gosh, where have we been all these years traveling? This poor yard. Okay, so now I need to change my bobbin thread. From green, because I'm matching, to gold. Blow out my bobbin. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, let's say that we had all four sides. So we've got 4, 4, 4, 4. What I'm going to do at that point is I always wait until I have this part done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark diagonal through there. And we're going to pretend that that was already done there. I'm going to mark up like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a smaller curve. Hold that thought. Dun, dun, dun. We're in the midst of redoing my studio. So all 6 machines are all over the studio in different spots because I'm packing up all my fabric. Getting that out of here to make room for classes coming up. Social distancing, so I've got to remove a lot of stuff. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I grabbed a smaller curve and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start here, and now I'm going to go up on the diagonal. So not only will we have the curved crosshatch going this way, and I'm only going as far as the curves here. So I'm going to line this up. Oops. Yeah, can we switch to that other camera? Piecing, yay. Yay, big yay. Miss piecing. Miss piecing a lot. I'm always behind on quilts. Always. Even with doing less custom quilts now, I still get so behind and I don't take that time that I need to recharge. So now I'm going to go here, I'm going to go back and forth a few times, I'm going to stop, I'm going to, and I need to go needle up. I don't know why that's on needle down. I never have needle up. I don't like needle up. Or I don't like needle down. So now I'm going to keep this line there. I'm going to go out. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go 1/2 of an inch. So it's going to be a little wider on the inside. Stop. Drag. 1/4 inch with my ruler, which is going to give me 1/2 of an inch. Quilted. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. Drag. 1/4 inch. Line it up. Stop. Lock, drag, stop, 1/4 inch. Make sure I'm not just looking here, I'm also looking back here to make sure that that line is up there. So again, if you're doing some piecing, well, this is the perfect time, unless you have a quilt that's been loaded on your machine for months, to load on some fun fabric and simply play. Let it be what it is. Pull out your quilting books, go check out some tutorials, tons of tutorials from all of these incredible quilters. And sit and play on a piece of fabric. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't even have to be a quilt. If you get a good section, you cut it out and you make a pillow. Now, I am right here. So what I've done is I've gone to the half marks. So now what I would do is I would go ahead and maybe go one more. Two, 3, 4. Stop. And then that's as far as I'm going to take that. So then what will happen is I'll have this wonderful kind of 3D effect with these little checkerboards in the corner to go in. And I will do that on all 4 sides. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up, and then of course I would trim all my drag tails. Locked. pull that away. There. So it's play day. That's what today is. So next week we'll be back to some more serious stuff. And it's just you got to play once in a while. You just got to stop everything and pull that machine out and just play instead of doing all the serious stuff. So thank you for joining us today. And we have questions.
Andrea asked, when you drag, do you go back and clip the thread on the back or just leave it?
I clipped the thread on the back when the quilt is off the frame. So once that quilt is off the frame. Now, that being said, unless it's a long drag, if it's longer than 2 or 3 inches, and I'm working in that space doing a lot of other things, then I may have to go down and pull it up, or I'm sorry, go down under the machine and trim it then. So that way my nothing gets caught underneath. It just depends. But typically my drags aren't really any longer than 1 or 2 inches. But sometimes, stuff happens. Um, so hopefully that helps. Any other questions?
Janet M. would like to know, when you move your machine about, does the bottom thread unwind out with it? I don't understand how that works.
When I move my machine about. So in other words, I have my machine here and I am quilting away. If I'm dragging, in other words, I haven't pulled up my bobbin thread, then yes, there's going to be like a tail of thread underneath that's going to have to be trimmed later. But typically, what will happen is I normally, pretty rarely do I drag thread. When I'm tucking something under, doing some special, heavy specialty thing like we were kind of playing with today, that's different. But normally, of course, I do my needle down, pull up my bobbin thread, trim, and that way everything's up in the quilt. So it's pretty rare that I drag thread, but I do it on occasion. That's it. Awesome. So again, we will be back to some serious stuff starting next week. Now we have, I'm not sure exactly when. It might be next week, might be the week after next. We have the amazing Linda Hershka, who is going to be showing up um, with us live virtually from her place in Michigan. And so that's going to be fun. We're going to do an interview with her, and we're going to do some quilt talk with her and some questions and answers. And if you don't know Linda Hershka, Quilted Pineapple, you want to make sure to go check out her work. She's absolutely, boy, if I could do amazing custom work that just looks so beautiful on traditional quilts, that's who I would want to be like. And she just does amazing stuff. And she's one of the kindest people I know. She's one of my best friends and just love her. And I know that you'll enjoy her. And I know a lot of you already know Linda Hershka. So, but anyways, we're going to have her as a special guest on. And again, we're going to be doing some scallop border stuff coming up. I've got a quilt that's loaded, that's ready to do the filming, and then we'll do the tutorial walkthrough coming up. Um, I have another custom quilt that I'm doing some specialty stuff to. So we're actually going to do it like we did last week's format, which is we will pre-film all of the quilting and then I'll walk you through everything I'm doing. It's a little bit cleaner. And then we can cut out any thread breaks. So there we go. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Know you're loved. And we'll see you down the road. Thanks for joining us today.